Alrighty. Right. So we couldn't see your team comp, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I have Reinhardt, Zarya. Okay, I'm gonna let the first fight play out for a bit, and then I'll wind it back real quick, and you can tell me what you could have done better.
Okay.
That's looking well. Okay, so this is basically the first team fight, right? So you wanted to start and see what you could have possibly done better. Because your team did end up winning this fight, but you didn't really play it all too well as Reinhardt, if I may be honest. Let's see if you can see what yourself what's popping. Okay, so what could have been going better for you here? Right, starting right off the gate, and then what could you have done better?
Maybe shield management more, but...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of like pushing in, like you were entering line of fire with about 1400 shield.
Yeah.
And then at some point, it just got busted down instantly, and now you're like starting a shield war with like 600 HP shield against Rein, who's probably 1800 already, still. And you can hear it as well in your own voice comms. So you say?
Let's push in.
Push in.
Shield's pretty low already.
Shield's pretty low already.
Yeah.
So that's already an indication that like you didn't have shield management like properly here. So what I would have done, like if I would have just left the spawn door there.
Merry Christmas. You need healing.
Like blocking the initial damage, even with the fire strike at spawn door is fine because people often start to spam through a bit.
Yeah.
But by now I would just hold covers near the separate walls and just wait for my shield to recharge. Like I would just stand here for a bit and wait until my shield is fully recharged, or I would even stand here for a bit and just don't engage in any shield war yet. Just let it recharge and then go back in.
I'll shock out here, okay?
As you can see, he has taken like one bit of shield damage now.
Shield's pretty low already.
So basically Gadget has maybe taken like 100 shield damage at max, and you're already very low, you don't have team bubble.
Alright, low.
You get Discord.
Oh, I have no shield. Okay, nice.
I know your barriers sword as well, which is a thing I keep mentioning. If you even have like a tiny bit of barrier HP left, you don't really lose your barrier, so it recharges quicker. Whereas if you break the entire barrier, I think it takes 5 seconds or so before it even starts recharging. So if you're ever in a situation where your shield is about to go down, don't let it go down fully.
Going right.
Okay.
We're going for Tracer, it's fine.
Nice pick, Jason.
Getting the fire strike is all good.
Just wait for my
Oh
shield.
shit, I didn't realize I was so low.
Okay, nice,
Okay,
nice.
so now
Push
you do get a res off and you get 2 picks, essentially.
in,
So now you're 2 up, now it's
On the
just
right,
relatively easy
right.
push. Okay, you're calling to go on Reinhardt, and I think you just get bubbled here. Seeing as you got bubbled, I would just instantly charge in. Because the Rein cannot go anywhere anyways.
He's one, guys, he's one.
Unfortunately, he does get the pin on you, which grants him a lot of ult charge, seeing as your bubble expired and he got his. Eventually you got the kill off, but you basically gave him like 30 ult charge that wasn't necessary.
No, one.
And the same goes for this situation, I'll rewind it real quickly. Basically, you're up You're up so much in this fight that you basically cannot lose it anymore. So you get the kill on Reinhardt. Now see Zarya, she has a decent amount of charge, and seeing as you've basically already won the fight, what you want to do is give your teammates the opportunity to farm their ultimates, whilst denying the enemy team to farm their ultimates, seeing as you still have a 2000 HP barrier. Okay, you didn't block any damage with it recently. And this Zarya has a relatively high charge on the enemy team. So what I would do here is just literally shield the Zarya, prevent her from doing any damage, and let the 2 or 3 teammates behind you clean her up. Because now you get like some ult charge swinging at her,
Zarya main? No?
which is fine.
Nice.
But I would rather, I not have any ult charge. Someone disconnected?
Screwedy, I think.
Scrutiny. Oh yeah, I have to go. So yeah, in this case I would rather just shield the Zarya, seeing as there was not any threat of you losing that fight.
Good take, nice one.
So I would just put my shield up and make sure she shouldn't get any ult charge. Because you can get ult charge on Reinhardt relatively quickly, so your ult's not that relevant. But a Graviton is a fearsome ultimate, so I wouldn't risk anything like there.
Okay, nice, guys.
Okay, you press tab a second. I'll quickly see you pressing tab.
Okay, nice, guys.
Right, so the enemy team has Hanzo straight as DPS, you have Genji Hanzo. They have Rein Zarya, that's mirror. Both teams are playing with Zenyatta, but the enemy team is playing with Ana. You're playing with Mercy. How would you reckon that influences how you should play Reinhardt in the lineup here?
I probably shield more because the nade and the sleep would be kind of annoying, especially the nade.
Yeah. And what about Tracer?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. So I do agree with like shielding a bit more, but mostly I would be looking at playing a bit more defensively with your team, seeing as if you ever slept or anti-naded, the enemy line is like a huge advantage over you. And you need to know Ana can basically always support Reinhardt, whereas Mercy cannot really support Reinhardt at all times. So you're looking at a team that can put a bit more resources into their Reinhardt than you can. So we'll be looking at the tank battles a bit more defensively, especially because if you have, if you're playing a bit more defensively, your Mercy can get the damage boost off on Hanzo, and she can kind of neutralize the effect of Ana being present in the Reinhardt games just by damage boosting Hanzo for damage on the Reinhardt. So it's one of the things I will be looking at now. Let's see how you do that. Spoke about Swift Press in the last VOD review, in which we were just discussing resources on tanks. What you do now is like kind of okay, just poking around a bit. They're holding really close.
I hit my shield.
Okay. You quickly rewind it for a second, see what happened. I need to go. Okay. So what do you think went wrong there in shielding?
Too close. He just went through it.
Exactly, you just went behind your shield. Admittedly, they were holding really, like, aggressively, really close. So I kind of understand you didn't really see it coming, and it's kind of tough to work with it. But something I would look out for, keeping your distance from Reinhardt when he has Shatter. One of the things in general I would do when pushing is to hold the back side of the payload rather than the front side, just because the payload is natural cover. It saves you shielding HP, and it prevents you from being charged by Reinhardt. And I was AFK, nice. Okay, so now you've used one ultimate, and you've gotten 2 kills and 1 ult out of him, so... But now you're in a pretty stable situation. The Ana's dead, which is a huge advantage, of course. And this charge itself is really good, like you're just creating space, if you will. You're not really getting healed, unfortunately. Regardless of what happened, I would say the charge itself was good. I would make that charge as well. You could maybe say I'm charging in and ask for a bubble or some heals. Because I think the charge itself was good, but maybe your team just didn't help you enough here. And then this happens. You do get the kill eventually, but let's rewind it again for a few seconds. So you get res, all nice. Their Rein's dead. And seeing as their Rein's dead and you have a 2000 HP barrier, just shield the Hanzo. Because now you've taken this amount of damage already, whilst not having really blocked anything. So that's a bit unlucky. I do eventually get the kill, but now you're down to 60 HP. And now you have to like flick towards the Tracer on your right side in order to live, which doesn't end up happening sadly. So if you're in a situation where you're basically like 1 and 2 up, like it was in this case, you can just put your shield up in front of the enemy DPS and let your DPS have 3 shots happen, because you have a 2000 HP barrier that they have to go through, and they don't. Nice pick, it was all good.
I need heals, thank you.
Let's get Rein, he's on his own. Reinhardt's on his own.
Yeah, one of the things I spoke about before is the hammer swing mechanic. Are you familiar with it, Tomahawk?
Yeah. Let's get Rein, he's on his own.
What you want to do, especially like Reinhardt v Reinhardt, where there's basically no one else involved. Just rewind it for like a couple seconds when he drops.
Let's get Rein, he's on his own.
I'm just gonna say it again. Hammer swing works kind of like this if you're like an arch. And for example, this around here will be the like the highest point of your what's it called?
Like
your
apex.
arch, essentially.
Yeah.
So if you rotate your camera to left and right, you can maybe rotate the heights of that like the peak of that arch to a more favorable position. And what you can do then is sort of manipulate the hitbox of your hammer swing, and then whilst you walk, like step forward and back, you can have it so that you walk forward as you rotate your camera, so you can get like the maximum range of hitbox, then hit him, and then make your hitbox normal again once you step back and make so that he cannot hit you, whereas you can hit him. And also, one thing that's always very handy is holding corners with Reinhardt. It allows you to like avoid fire strikes, and it's much more reliable if you make the swing to the right side, that you can just peek around the corner, swing to the right side, and then step back behind the corner again. It's another trick that you can get to safely deal damage. Also hide gadget.
You are good.
Yeah. Yeah, do you use Team Bubble? That's good. You use it as well.
Heals me.
in this situation where like your full HP, you're basically 1 up. Seeing as the enemies already didn't have team bubble, I'll just instantly throw my fire strike once it is off cooldown. It's free damage essentially.
There's a bind.
I got grav.
Okay, so now you know that you have graviton. What does that mean for you in particular? How should you play this out, do you think?
I'd probably hide behind the payload, wait for the shield recharge, and when he grabs, then I can push up and have use the shield to actually get there for swing.
Exactly, yeah, because if you're doing like a successful grav combo, then you basically, unless the enemy has like something very good to counteract it, you basically win the fight for free. So the only thing you need to do is ensure to get your grav combo off, which means shielding will make sure your Zarya and Hanzo don't die. But it in particular means that you have to shield your Hanzo when he's going to go for the casting animation of his ultimate. Because otherwise, one of the things I like to do as Reinhardt, if the enemy has like a Graviton Hanzo combo, if we don't get the pick on like Hanzo, or if we don't get the pick on Hanzo or Zarya, we like to focus down the Reinhardt intensely. Because if the enemy Reinhardt's not in the fight and they try to grab combo, you can try to shatter, and in that case you can either get the Mercy damage boost out of the way if the Mercy's shattered, in which case there's not enough damage to go for Transcendence, or you can shatter the Hanzo and cancel the animation altogether. So if you kill the enemy Reinhardt and you shatter either the Mercy or the Hanzo, and in the case of Hanzo it means you have to cancel the ultimate, and in the case of Mercy it means she has to just be stunned so you cannot damage boost anyone. But that's things you always need to look out for in Graviton Surge combos as Reinhardt. And that's why I would just, in general, I would just hold the backside of the payload a bit more. It's natural cover essentially, which is very handy. But on top of that, you need to ensure that your Graviton Surge and combo is going to work well. Because now you have no barrier and you're in the front of the battle. You're about half HP. You instantly, as soon as your shield is busted, you're focusing your shield. Your shield goes bust, Grav comes up, and instantly guy just smashes that Q button. And I think he actually stuns your Hanzo with this. Just
lay down.
I will not. I think it was a bit lucky that Tracer's Pulse Bomb didn't hit you, but I will not fault you for not shielding it preemptively, simply because it's way more logical to combo with a Dragon Strike rather than Tracer Pulse Bomb. Because Tracer Pulse Bomb is a bit more inclined to fail, whereas Hanzo's Dragon Strike is a bit more reliable in that. So I wouldn't fault you for not shielding the Pulse Bomb. Luckily, you all lived. And you do eventually turn the fight around, but you did invest some extra ultimates in it.
In the castle, low ground.
Which is maybe not necessary.
On Chris.
I don't know where he went.
What you're doing now is pretty good. Like, you notice someone on the right side, and they might be coming out of his right side as well.
He got bamboozled.
What I would do now, though, is ask for someone else to stay on payload, because now you can see they're already there, and I think Slapback is also calling it. I would just hold this doorway right now, and if anyone wants to come through, you can charge him. It's either going to land them like into this wall, or it's going to boop them backwards. Either way, they will not be able to contest the payload, and you're making a very short and safe charge. You're still with your team. So I will be a bit more upfront here and just deny entry. So you do cap, which is nice.
Hey, they are there.
And now we just focus on fighting on payload.
Get Rein.
Standing in this doorway now is very risky because you open yourself up to damage. Whereas you can kind of like wait on payload or just even charge around the corner instantly.
Rein one.
It's one of the themes that has been happening a couple times so far. Is that you've been getting charged yourself without really landing a great deal of pinch yourself, or at the very least counter pinning. So if you're in a situation like this where you have the upper hand, charging is a bit more allowed, especially if you have a Zarya bubble online. But as soon as you see the enemy Rein charging, you have to like press shift and just neutralize the effect and at least counter pin.
Nice kill.
So you got a pick, nice.
Push main.
Oh shit, I got smashed in the head.
Focus down his shield if you can, so...
Now you're doing pretty good. Like, as you can see, now you're holding the backside of the payload and dropping your shield every now and then. And I have only lost about 500 shield HP in like several seconds, which is actually pretty big. And as you can see, now you're still doing good. You're dropping your shield when you have Zarya bubble. So now you're 2 up, the enemy has no DPS, and you have almost got a full HP shield buff still. You can push this pretty comfortably, and you manage your shield well. You can see Gadget's shield is about to break.
And are in the back.
Okay, so you see a Hanzo close, right?
Zarya one.
Okay, this is all good. Okay, so by now, the last time Gadget used his hammer down was on Streets phase when both teams grabbed. And in the time after that, he's landed about 6 people with his fire strike. He's landed about 2 or 3 hammer swings and 1 charge kill on you, which is 500 HP. So he's definitely having shatter again, right? So right now that Gadget died, you need to keep a mental track of when he will be coming back, because he's gonna come back with Shatter. That's like the deal.
I'm gonna pull back with Shatter. Hands up, nice.
Getting the ult is fine. Okay, so in this case, Zarya is nano boosted. That means one of two things. Either it's desperation, we need to stall, get a tank with nano boost on there, or it's we need to farm graph quickly to get back. And I can tell you in this current meta where there's like double sniper a lot, and Mercy can fly to either one of them, landing big Earth Shadows is very hard to do. And especially if you're playing against a hero like Ana, I would just say whoever she nano boots gets a free shadow to the ground. Because it makes them incredibly tough, of course. It makes them very, I mean, they have more damage resistance, that's what I'm trying to say. But on top of that, they deal extra damage, so you want to deny their opportunity to get extra ult charge, because a lot of nano boost value isn't per se an ultimate wombo combos at all times. Sometimes it's just, I need my Zarya to get ult in time, or I need my Reinhardt or Winston to quickly farm his ult. And just solo shattering whoever gets nano boosted is a very good trade, because you're basically trading one ultimate for one ultimate, both of which are very quick to charge, and both of which can fail to some extent. Like, if you nano boost someone who doesn't have their ultimate wombo combo, they still have to deal damage, which isn't always reliable, and Shatter can get blocked by a lot of things, so if you fail one Earth Shatter or one nano boost, it's not really the greatest deal in the world, because you'll get it back in time quickly, and it's not the ultimate game changer. So if you're ever playing against an Ana, she nano boosts someone, I would look for the opportunity to solo shatter it. Simply because it denies them their extra ult charge gain, and if it's like a Genji blade with nano, it's an instant...
What?
Oh wow!
Sorry.
It's an instant solo shatter. And now unfortunately the team comes back with an Earth Shatter, and they should have Grav now, because you did not shatter Zarya when she got nano boosted. And there's a Grav.
Sorry one.
Luckily you do end up winning this fight eventually. Target focus is all good, like you're calling well.
Nice.
One positive thing I would like to note is that your comms have been very good so far. Like you've been telling people when you're going to push in, when your shield was about to go down and whatnot. They've been doing good target calls, but individually you could have maybe managed your shield a bit better sometime. I would sometimes hold natural cover a bit more, like the payload's backside or the walls you can use for cover. On top of that, I would keep a bit more on this round. I would watch a bit more on counter-charging at the very least. Because you cannot always win Reinhardt v Reinhardt pin battles, but at the very least you need to ensure that you don't constantly get pinned. You do manage to cap though, which is really nice.
Plus he's saying I switch him out for Scrooty.
I would really like to run something like a kind of spam comp, like
you're going Orisa spam.
Spam.
Could actually work, yeah.
I've such difficulty like breaking it in comp, because they just spam Junkrat or whatever. They just completely hose the bridge down, and my shield is just gone immediately.
I could go Tracer to start the duels.
I can run the Junkrat, but all they do is switch to fire and we're dead.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I should go Widow and you should go Hanzo.
So this can still kind of work double sniper with constant shielding and Orisa. But you will require your Hanzo to constantly spam down the enemy team. Otherwise there's no use in you going Orisa. Otherwise it's not spam comp. Roadhog is a good pick, and Mercy Zen are very strong in the spam comp in particular, but have been strong for a very long time already, so that's always good, basically.
With the Hanzo, Storm, Arrow, and the hook.
We just play back. Just play back and keep spamming.
If the Tracer ends up going to our spawn behind us, I'm gonna warn you guys for a spawn cap possibly, but she will probably come back and try to get me, so... Guys, if you could fly to me then and stay with me, so I can focus on Pharah without getting killed by a Tracer.
I'm gonna hold the front line
just call out where she is, and we should be good.
Yeah, it's the most given strategy on this map is Tracer goes behind our Doomface, and Pharah flies over the top. Tracer does stacks with hits cam player, and then when the hits cam player is distracted, the Pharah goes in.
What do you mean?
I'm just gonna put a shield around here, and we just...
Shield line was kind of fine. You could even maybe put the initial one a bit further upwards, so you can get a bit of longer sideline.
In that case, we replay on point.
Stairs is not really required. I would just hold this front line and look at things.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be our first Orisa VOD. As you know, Orisa shield's like completely set in the ground, like you have no shield maneuverability in any way and don't have any mobility yourself, so you need to get like decent shield placement.
Yeah.
Besides that, your shift is like your get out of jail free card. Whenever you're in trouble, you need to press shift and make sure you get the hell out of there. And your normal weapon, it's got a lot of ammo, but it has a spread on it, and it has relatively slow-moving projectiles, so it's not very reliable to get kills with or to hit squishes with. It's mostly used for shooting at tanks, barriers, and slow-moving squishes like Zenyatta and McCree. However, your Halt is the big game changer. Halt is your one and only playmaking capability you have as Orisa. So, in particular, I will be looking at the Halt usage mostly, because that's your most team-based ability, if you will. Like, if you get that one going well, your team can benefit from it greatly. And also in normal solo queue, as long as you can make plays, it always happens, but also in team play, if you can get very good Orisa pulls, then it means you will constantly get free kills, essentially, almost.
It's fine, I can dash back.
Okay, so you saw Zarya, you saw Reinhardt. Okay, so let's look at that Halt there, because you know you're going to be playing against Reinhardt Zarya then. And Reinhardt and Zarya, they do have mobile shielding in a sense, seeing as Reinhardt can just put his shield up and down whenever he wants to, really. But so there's one risk for you as Orisa. If you've put your shield in the ground somewhere, and Reinhardt rushes past you, then he suddenly still has a barrier to place wherever he likes. And you don't have any shielding, so you have to keep Reinhardt at bay, essentially.
It's fine, I can dash back.
And as such, one of the things I often do with Reinhardt comps is shoot a Halt over them. I'll quickly draw it for you. Let's make a green one for the Halts. Let's say they're underneath the archway, right? If I put a Halt here on the bridge, and the enemy team is rushing in like this. With the Halt you're doing now, it just drags into the Halt, but if you pull the Halt upwards, they will go up linearly, and then when the Halt is over, they will fall down linearly, which means that they will be suspended in the air for an extended period of time. So if you pull them upwards, they are under the effect of like the Halt for a longer time period, which means that there will be extra damage on the shield, and it can literally, if you spam it well, it can literally make the difference between dealing 200 damage and dealing more than 1,000 damage to a shield. So it can be pretty massive. So whenever you're playing against Reinhardt comps, I'll be looking at halting people over the shield as much as you can, just to delay their push and to make sure their shield wears down quickly. The same kind of goes for immobile heroes like Zenyatta and McCree. If you pull those upwards, they're relatively easy to track, and since they have no real mobility whatsoever, they're very, you can literally almost insta-kill them or one-clip them with Orisa without missing any shots, and otherwise it's just always an easier time for your team to combo with it. So they deflect, okay?
Here you go. Oh fuck!
So one of the things I'll be looking at now, you've basically just held M1 for quite a while. He's shooting a lot of bullets.
I cannot heal you from here, by the way, Fidel.
One of the things you need to watch out with if you're playing Orisa is to not feed Zarya bubbles and to not shoot when deflect is up. So now you're shooting a bunch of bullets into a deflecting Genji. Then there's this team bubble going up, and you're still shooting the team bubble. As you can see, the team bubble got shredded. It didn't expire by the 2-second cooldown. It just took enough damage. So you're not going to be fighting a high charge Zarya by now. Definitely by now, because you've been shooting bubbles again. So Zarya is now probably 65 to 70% energy. And seeing as Hanzo wasn't with you, can really damage your shield very well. So what you need to do now is, I'll be looking to pull them backwards a bit. I'll just pull them in this direction, to the side, just to kind of set them back a bit. And as you can see, their shield is wearing down quite a bit, so you can just give your team some breathing space, if you will. You don't want to, with Orisa, you need to keep long sidelines, preferably, because that's when the enemy Reinhardt's not very strong. He doesn't have enough shielding to go for it. But if Reinhardt is able to turn the corner right now, he's at a massive advantage, because he can just use a lot of cover with the payload and the Bastion turret on the right side, if they want to push into point. So you need to keep your distance from him. You need to keep him in the main area and make sure you don't really pass. And someone joined.
Yeah, no.
Mana, hi.
Rein. Okay, let's play on point.
Okay, so now you're calling to play on point.
Nice kill.
This is a bit risky, because as you can see, you're pretty close to Reinhardt now, and he can just stand behind the wall where Zenyatta and Zarya are currently, or he can even stand behind this little Bastion turret on the right side. And either way, he will be able to recharge his shield and have like maybe a 5-meter distance to cross to you. So one of the things you need to keep in mind now is that they will at some point try to rush past your shield, and Reinhardt's probably going to charge in with a Zarya bubble. So you need to keep your distance and make sure it doesn't happen successfully. So this is a good pull. Like, you haven't really gotten any combos with Roadhog yet with your whole hog, but that's something you can improve on with people if you synergize well with them and you play a lot. But as you can see now, you're pulling them over, he gets drags towards it, gets shot, falls down, gets shot, and loses shield HP during an entire time period. So that's a really good pull.
Dead. Zarya low.
Okay, so shooting Zarya is good, because, like I said, with Orus's primary fire, it's so slow, and it has quite a lot of spread if you want to like shoot squishies down. So it's mostly very good for shooting tanks, and shooting tanks should be your primary focus. But now it's a bit messy, because now they've essentially rushed past your shield, so your shielding value not entirely gone yet, but it isn't really at the level where you'd like it to be. You haven't really been able to keep your distance. And since they already killed 3 people now, it's just kind of lost, sadly.
Oh god, there's them in there.
Yeah, just fall back and recoup points.
Yeah, change tanks. Rein Zarya.
Rein Zarya's tanks is all fine.
Zarya.
On point B of most payload maps, I commonly fancy dive tanks. So, like on Dorado, on Eichenwalde here, on Route 66. A dive tank is still incredibly strong because high ground is so prevalent on this map. So I commonly don't go for a great deal of Rein Zarya, but it can work. Nice block here, by the way. Did anything like... I know Gadget wants to improve on his round as well. Did anything like tip you off that he was going to shatter there, Tomahawk?
Just, I knew he'd brawled a lot on the point, so I was kind of like, he probably has it, and then I didn't really know. I was kind of just like expecting it. I was like, he has shatter, I know, so he's just going to do it sometime. So I just waited for it.
Okay, so what you're doing now is kind of good. We'll talk about this one in a second, but we'll first just let the team fight wind up.
Where are you? Inside.
Magnet pin.
Oh, Zen's.
No, I don't even care about the magnet pin. Let's rewind it for like some extra time. Okay, so you get one pick, that's all fine. You call for Zarya to be focused, that's good. And you land the pin. You do get the kill, which is good, getting the charger set. But do know the enemy team is incredibly close to you. And unless you, like, the operation of killing Zarya was very risky. And by now I would definitely think about going back. Like, I would have gone back by now. As you can see, they're so incredibly close to you. You were, like, so deep in enemy territory, essentially. That, if you were wanting to kill the Zarya there, it would have been a bit tough, because everyone would have been, like, required to be instantly ready to back you up. And as soon as you got the kill, you, like, stayed around for, like, 1.5 seconds just to try to get, like, the Reinhardt fire strike. So I would have just, if you were going to kill the Zarya there, I would have just instantly backed out again, like, as soon as possible. Or I would have not really gone for Zarya, because it might have been tough for a team to follow up. And now you're kind of equal, but now you have no shield up front than they do.
Yeah.
So now you're all kind of in trouble, sadly.
We need to stick together with our backline. We're very split up there. So I'm gonna hang back more.
I couldn't see.
The support's got fucked, to be honest. So I'm gonna hang back a little bit more. I've got my
Let's
dragon.
take high ground in the castle.
We can drag in.
So now I'm wondering, where would you like to take this team fight?
There's
Your comp?
really
Probably down there on the low ground.
Exactly, like Reinhardt Zarya, they aren't very strong on the high ground. It's very hard to even get to it. But on top of that, many characters are just sometimes a bit better on high grounds than Reinhardt Zarya. Like, you'd probably even think about keeping Reinhardt Zarya on the ground, contesting the cart soon, and having the rest of your teammates contest the high ground.
Nice, Genji now, Genji
It's
now.
kind of risky territory. You're 5-striking a Genji as deflect up. And I think you might have actually done a lot of damage to your team here, which forced Gods to instantly res. And then he just got another kills when there was no healing present.
Yeah, it definitely killed Jason.
We can test the point.
Yeah. I think got like a 2 or 3 man 5-star deflect, which does 100 damage, and then he just dashed in and get a right click, and that's basically an insta kill almost. So now it's going to be a messy fight, because like this is just sniper RNG in this meta. Like, you're basically free down. Your snipers equalize it with 3 kills of drone. It's ridiculous. But seeing as you have no healers, I would just focus on getting fire strikes in from a distance and use the high ground as cover. Or maybe regroup at the end, take the castle health back.
Burn.
Because in this case, I had both bubbles up, and you charging in was risky because you had literally no heals, and you were 142 HP. Your team is still kind of stabilizing. Nurse is back now. And you do manage to stabilize. The enemy team got their kills quicker, but couldn't secure the points, seeing as you respawned a bit sooner than they did. And you have close spawn.
I'm Chris. Okay. I think they'll have shatter.
The best place probably to hold on to this arch here. Sort of this area.
I'm going for
Kind
shatter.
of fine. I would be looking at not blocking too much damage right now, because now, before the fight has really even started, and you've already taken about 700 shield damage. Like I said, I would just once again use the payload for most of the cover, and even use it for contestants without even using my shield. Making this play was fine, It's unlucky the Hanzo was positioned very properly on high ground, so you cannot get shattered. But I do understand the play of hammering down into a grab tunnel. It's risky, but if you could cancel their ultimate combo, it's massive.
Got no shields.
Yeah, you do get a pick on Lucio, which is nice.
No, he's half now.
Nice block. Might have been the bubble, but it works. Yeah, it's
Nice.
it's a bit unfortunate. The snipers kind of traded, and then Nanoblade just comes in and swoops everyone up. But at least you got a lot of ults out of the way. You got their graph combo out of the way, and their Nanoblade, which is a lot of things that you got out of the way.
It's still one of them.
But still, I would say this is a pretty decent fight.
I got all
May not be winnable, but we can recontest this.
We can recontest, yeah.
You want to snipe?
I've got my ult, I've got grab.
Seeing as you want to recontest, what I would do is ask people to go to separate exits. So like 2 people go right side and 2 people go left side, for instance. And I would just focus on regrouping right now. I don't want to take any damage and I don't want any more casualties.
Well.
Okay.
They're taking like you're already half HP lower by now.
Oh, sorry.
And you're instantly there, which is a bit unfortunate. When you're trying to regroup for a recontest, you have to commonly wait for the very last second if you want to go for like a desperate point hold. So I wouldn't really look at peaking damage earlier. And on top of that, I would be looking as a team to ask people to take different exits so you cannot be like door trapped.
No, leave it.
If they're calling to leave it, it's fine.
Come back, no bother.
Now, there's a bit of unlucky Team Blue, but Slapdash and Gauze are trying to get out of this alive.
No, put it where it's space and just tell me where
And Guy's team is pushing up very effectively. I think we might have calls for it as well, I reckon.
You need to pull back to corner.
So yeah, now you try to help your Mercy out, which does end up getting you almost killed again.
Watch. Genji up top right.
Help house.
Yeah, I'm coming for you, please.
Now you lose the little one. You're still like kind of pushing in a bit. And I would not be looking at pushing it at all because you're still trying to regroup.
You could grab him.
I slept. It's unfortunate. Get storm arrowed. It's a bit unfortunate. Like, it's kind of on your team to some extent as well, but you kind of participate in it as well. If you're regrouping like that, I would just, there's no shame in literally being in spawn if it's really needed.
We need to go back to spawn.
Now you've basically, because the car was kind of around here when you guys got wiped, kind of this payload progress until the very last touch has all been trickle, sadly enough. Like you didn't really get any good regroup in here, which is a very big deal on payload maps like these.
Don't leave spawn.
You're better on Junkrat just because they keep coming right into us. You need some close contact.
Alright,
So you'll be able to touch, that's good.
Throw it somewhere.
Pinning Reinhardt's really good here. I mean, this is desperation time. You could always fancy solo shattering the Reinhardt right after you pin him, because like even after someone is pinned, they're still stunned for I think half a second or a full second. So your instant reaction after a pin on a Reinhardt should never be to turn away from him or to like be defensive. It should always be to attack him instantly again, because your first ability will probably land on him before his stun wears off. So you could even think about solo shattering him without any troubles. Seeing as he did have shatter up.
They're in it, but they just used all else.
Okay, so grabs get used. Somebody gets committed.
It's okay.
Unfortunate.
We got better time, I think.
Yeah. It's a bit of an unfortunate round, but as a team it was mostly due to like regrouping issues.
I died every other time I could have possibly. Everyone else was dead. You say held it on for too long, but there was no other opportunity that could have used.
Well, even when we were pushed back.
It's fine, leave it.
Yeah, but I was on my own. I could have grabbed and
doesn't matter. Hey,
taken advantage of it, and we wouldn't have had it for later on.
It's good.
I'm not talking about that at the moment.
Let's focus on. Oh wait, I didn't pick him.
Okay, what was the problem on first point?
First point, we lost control of it, I think.
First point was my fault because I didn't back off when I should have, and then that forced you guys to push forward and make a push in and take advantage.
I should actually go back and call it up.
The thing with the last point was that I had Genji on me together with their Zenyatta, and they weren't getting punished.
It was Lucio. Lucio was with you, with him.
No, it was Zenyatta back then. Like, first point.
Yeah, I
I'm
went
sorry,
on
first point, I thought you
mean
were
stage
last point.
2 or like stage 1?
Stage 1. Like, when we actually lost
In
first
stage
point.
2 I went for a flank, but I shouldn't have. I got picked off by Lucio. That's how we lost that one.
Like I said, their Zen is really aggressive. Punish that.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been out of position a few
You
times.
just need to pinpoint and then we can restart again.
We'll play passive.
So we're starting the new round. Let's quickly rewind 5 seconds and look at the team comp. Okay, so we've got double sniper, which means that you'll be sitting back from range a lot. Like the second position you took up with Orisa, like just around the tower close to the point, is a very good position right now. or even maybe just a tiny bit closer, because I'll quickly drop the Eichenwalde map. Eichenwalde has always been very notorious for being a very hard to take map, simply because the what's it called? Choke here. There we go. Simply because the choke is so intense here. Basically, no matter where you position, you know, you can just take cover behind the tower here. They can just stand here and throw fire strikes and whatnot. Whereas the enemy team has to come through here, and as you can see, sideline looks like this essentially. It's got a bit of a curve, but this is the sideline you can hold. So this choke on Eichenwalde is very defender favored, and since they have to like push that team through, and you can just keep cover by the towers and by the buildings and the turrets and whatnot, you can play this quite defensively, just spam them down from range, especially with long range heroes like double snipers. So you're doing that pretty well. But it's the weird thing, you don't even want or have to hold closer with Reinhardt Zarya. You can just keep your distance and spam them down a bit. Only when they are about to when they're about to like pass the choke, that's when you have to step in and make sure you don't take cover. This is kind of good. I would drop my shields for fire strikes more. It's one of the things I've noticed so far.
Don't get in the space.
Okay, so they use their team bubble. That's good.
Go point.
Get you low.
Go point. They can get past us otherwise.
Okay, so you need to be thinking about recharging your shield now. Because it's already at 500 again, and because you like never really take like an extended break of shielding, like you oftentimes put your shield downwards for like a brief second and then you put it up again, which means that you can never really recharge it properly. So I would just be looking at if people are like setting up a bit, I'd just be looking at taking cover for several seconds and just letting my shield recharge. Because now you do get a kill on Reinhardt, which is nice, but your shield's still on very low HP, so there isn't much value in your shield right now. And you are very low yourself, so you'll probably use a shield by now to just save yourself rather than actually shielding your team. And you eventually get killed, sadly.
I need heals. Thank you.
Get your point, guys.
I'm dead.
It doesn't end up in losing the team fight, sadly, it seems.
No shit, I picked off.
Been lost.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I lost. Okay.
Okay, so you just lock Jason there. Okay, you will all have the close one, so you could go for like a more aggressive hold here. I would be looking at, if I would pause it, I would not give him this free space. I would just be looking at holding them around this corner, sending fire strikes for like the right side of the gate and the gate when it opens. But I wouldn't give him all this free space they're taking right now. We're looking at holding a bit more aggressively.
Because I cannot see you and I cannot fly to you. So you need to be playing more on the edges.
Yeah. I just wanted to get for a starting pick, man.
Yeah.
So everyone's here. Okay, now you're pushing up. But still, you've already given them quite a few space. Now you're reclaiming some.
Genji and I gone.
I got shot.
You get bubble, this is nice, doing free damage. Waiting out the bubbles is good.
I got ult.
I'm getting spammed by a photograph.
Okay, good block. Any specifics on how you thought that he was going to shatter, or not really?
Exact same as before. It's just like when, you know, he brawled a lot on points, so I was just like, I know he has shatter, and if I was him, I would go for a shatter now just to snowball even faster, but I was like, yeah, no, he's going to shatter now, so I just kind of waited for it. I didn't push in, I just kind of waited until I did it.
Yeah, and it was kind of like this shatter previously was basically on the same point on the exact same moment, so it was to some extent predictable. Now let me play again.
Push him.
So now you're 2 down, which is risky to push now because you have no front line, but then they have no main support and no main tank, which is interesting.
Okay, we need a Brigitte for the Genji.
The problem is going to the edge means I can't see them. So I can't do my job.
Can someone play Brigitte?
If I throw it over there or not.
Is anybody able to
no.
play Brigitte?
Just group up on this bridge, please.
Anyone
Yeah,
able to play
push the
Brigitte,
field as well.
please?
Do you want me to go with Brigitte after I die?
Yeah, anybody. Just
Okay,
so
sure.
we can deal with the Genji.
Yeah, cool.
It's unfortunate that you used Dragon here when you had Graph combo coming up.
Push up here.
But maybe you can farm your Graph combo before the overtime starts. You can get like your
Hands on high ground.
final team fights decided by that. Like, let's rewind this for a few seconds. Okay, so you're pushing into Reinhardt, right? All fine.
No deflect, Genji.
Now you're taking an angle on him, which is a bit of a telltale, like, hey, I might shatter. I'm looking at like a weird side angle to the side of your team, right?
Shatter?
And you're going further to the side, so you're still looking at making as long as the sideline as possible and getting on a bit of a flank.
Hands on high ground.
Now you're going to main again, then you get put back to the right side, and you jump over him. Basically, you move even further to the right side. And by now, Shattering is very telltale, because why on earth would a Reinhardt ever flank? He's going to Shatter. And eventually, you did get knocked upwards a bit, but both Gadget had a shield up and he got team bubbled, so I think both Niana and Gadget saw the Earth Shatter coming.
Genji is going to look for Blade.
Round one.
Okay, so now you saw something very interesting. Voidless just instantly went back as soon as the Transcendence was used. Like, he didn't even bother doing any damage anymore, look for a new target. So you know by now the enemy probably has their own graph combo coming up, and they'll be trying to push with this.
You go for combo.
So you got a pin off, which is kind of fine. And I think Voidless got boosted here. Let's quickly rewind it. Voidless gets back.
You go for combo.
Killing the Reinhardt is fine. It's unfortunate that you don't really get any other people killed with it. Pinning the Reinhardt is generally a good call. But one of the people I like to pin out of a Graviton, or just get an insta-kill on, is any squishy who has an ultimate or who is nano boosted, aka Genji. In this case, it was a bit awkward that Genji just got sucked in and nano boosted after you charged. But it's something that I would always look for rather than just pinning Reinhardts, pinning people that are using their ultimates.
Yeah.
Gets stormed, unfortunately.
Swinnable. Nice.
Now you're getting picks, nice.
Sorry.
Because now you're doing graph combo probably clean up. Oh, you used graph right, never mind. You just use Hanzo ulti. Okay, so unless they come back with a really strong graph combo, you should be able to yeah, defend this. And that happens, nice. There comes the grab, yeah, okay.
Good one.
So yeah, one of the things you could have done maybe there, seeing as around you Earth Shatter already, you could have just pinned Zarya and ensured that she maybe died because she had Graviton. It didn't end up costing you, luckily, but still something they can keep in mind. And besides that, I mean, I can't really fault you for not pinning Voidless, seeing as you pinned before he got sucked in and nano boosted. But it's generally one of the things I would always keep in mind. If someone is nano boosted in the graph, or if someone in the graph has their ultimate or is using it, that's my #1 pin target.
We should generally have intimate shot callers. And then people take over when certain people are dead and all that shit.
Yeah. I can shot call for the Yeah, I can do it.
Who's I?
Hawk, Rein.
Yeah, before weather's below so we can just...
Generally, it should be Rein.
Do the thing that we...
So now looking at your attacking push. That's a classic double sniper Mercy Zen Rein Zarya. Very well known comp.
Should we try fire?
Chris, do you want to go Brigitte or do you want to go hands on? I can go Brigitte.
Still good, I go hands on.
Get it.
Cool, yeah.
God is saying it. Escape.
Yeah, once he's down, we can push up really hard.
Yeah.
The extra pressure.
It's got a fire strike. Don't let fire strike.
And also take a look at the Zen overtending team there. See there?
So now you're doing a bit better of a job. Like you still have your shield up. They're holding a bit closer. But as you can see, last time when you began your push, you only had about 1200 shielding HP left. And now as you begin it, you have around 1800 to 1900. So you're already doing a bit of a better job, luckily. You got spammed down. It's the nature of this meta.
My shield's already half.
Hands on high ground.
Now we'll be looking at just recharging your shield again and taking this push in like separate steps.
Pushing left.
They're running Hanzo with us.
Okay, so now you need to shoot the team through with your the last bits of your shield.
Nice kill.
And this is still risky territory. Like your sniper got a pick, but you're basically pushing in with a very low shield still, and your team is kind of still moving through the choke. So this is a risky thing to push.
Rein low. Yeah, pushing.
Trying to push Reinhardt, that's fine.
Rein.
Okay, so luckily, we did stop the pin by stunning Reinhardt.
Nice kill.
But once again,
Hands are low.
Reinhardt's counter charge is very forgiving. Like,
Yeah.
even if the enemy Reinhardt has been charging for a full 5 seconds, and you just like look at him at the last moment and you press a shift key, it counter charges well.
Yeah.
So as soon as you see him charge in, smash a shift key. And in this case, luckily, you get saved by Fidela, who just managed to stun him.
Rein one.
But it's been kind of a theme in his VOD footage. I haven't really been landing good counter pins or good pins in general. So we're always looking at least counter pinning. Assuming this is all good, rotating with Hanzo.
Good stun, nice one.
This is nice, you get a good point cap.
Push up and try to secure them before they hold us early. They want to hold us early, so we need to push up.
Okay, so you lost one. This is basically either we rest this or we go back to payload and wait for the respawn. And now you're in like kind of a lot of trouble because now you can see there's like 3 or 4 enemies there. and you need to walk like maybe 6 or 7 meters before you actually have cover again.
Yeah.
And as you can see, you were losing a lot of shield HP and a lot of your own HP because you just got thrown an armor pack. So you've taken about 5 to 6% damage to your own like health pool in this. You've taken about 1600 barrier damage, and you've lost 2 people. So it's a moment to be cautious right now, I would say.
Rally, so when we start to push, I'll rally.
Awesome.
And then we'll have full armor when we fight.
Play safe here, etc.
Okay, now you lost 3 people when people are respawning. I would just say fight back on the payload and go back whenever they push us. Good block again. You end up getting pinned, but it's kind of due to the bubbles, that's why you can really do much there.
Oh shit, I killed myself. Fucking Genji. Genji, I deflect.
I get to charge my shields.
He's using his Sonic Arrow is good here.
Right, here we go.
Keep doing it back.
Try and burn Rein shield so we can get a nice clean shatter.
And those on top
Good kill.
Good, nice pick. Nicole had to focus Rein shield is good, they don't have a lot of shield break.
Space. Let's take it.
I will be looking at sending a bit more fire strikes more often just to get some extra damage in.
Rein low.
This is pretty good, like, it's unlikely that Ana heals it here, but the Reinhardt was basically separated.
No, I used my shatter.
I want to rewind this for like a few seconds.
Yeah,
You get a kill, this is all good. Ana used your sleep dart out here. I will be looking at just fire striking a bit more for some general damage. And by now you know the Reinhardt's in trouble, so with this team bubble I would just try to pin the Reinhardt. Because he's either going to be, he's going to be separated regardless by the dragon. He's either going to counterpin, which means that if you pin him and he pins you back, it's like neutralized. And in that case, he's just like separated still by the dragon and on the ground. Or he's going to get pinned into a wall, which is basically an almost certain death. And in this case it was fortunate that Luminosity, I think it was with on the right side for Reinhardt. But seeing as he just got nano boosted, I would literally instantly take a step to the left, like here, and then instantly shatter him in the mid-charge, because like I said, it's a nano boosted Reinhardt. He's going to do a lot of damage. He's never going to die because he's nano boosted, and he's going to get a lot of ult charge, which you need to prevent. So in this case, I would just look at trying to rotate to the left wall, and just instantly solo shatter when he's still charging. You don't want to wait until he hits the wall, because you can shield it back up again. So that's what I would be looking to do here. And you're a bit late in doing it, and you do eventually, you were anti-ed, you get 120 HP with Discord, so you get
No, I used my shadow.
clip by Zen unluckily.
No, he used it already. I blocked it.
Okay.
Yeah, but he will be close to a new one perhaps if he got some swings in. There's his blade.
Nice, Chris.
Nice pick.
Alright, push on that. Get,
He's pushing with trans.
Zarya here. Right now.
Okay. It's a bit unfortunate, like, Chris got killed and I think you're saying you have to just use trans reactively. Might have even been a second late.
Okay,
which did end up for their graph combo to be free. Enemy's team saw us trans, so with their Ana grenade in the trans, you know you will not damage through the transcendence healing with graph combo. So it's looking very tense. It's a very close game.
Oh, Ana's
Rein low. Rein one.
I can see the Ana grenaded and they use transcendence. I think the dragon also kind of misses, but regardless of that, a damage boosted Hanzo ult doesn't go through Ana grenade plus transcendence healing. So you would have had to get like a lot of damage in there in order to secure the fight. And now it's just straggling, if you will. Unfortunate.
That's okay.
Sorry, that's my bad.
It's unfortunate. So general themes of things. I'll be looking at... Oh, I just saw a question, Lana. Let me quickly read. If you know your team is about to die, plus you, do you keep the shield up to delay, or would it be better to die faster, not in overtime? Sorry, of course. Someone left again?
Gods, Pedro.
And it's AFK. What I would be looking to do, if the people are calling for a quick reset, like a quick retake, then I would be looking, if the team is calling for a quick reset, I would just say, don't use your shield, try to get some ult charge yourself, just swing your hammer a bit, and die quickly. Sometimes it's better to stall a bit, in which case I would say try to keep your shield up as long as you can and make sure you don't die very easily. But if your team dies before you, it's probably going to be people picking snipers right now, which you cannot really do a great deal about. And if it's people dying before you because your own fault, you're probably not shielding them very well. So I would generally not try to die very quickly. it's definitely worth shielding some damage and making sure the payload gets delayed a bit. It buys them off time. But if your team is calling for like a very quick reset and like die on the card instantly, I would just say charge in, hammer in, and get some ult charge going. Kind of depends on the situation. Any questions on this VOD review? Oh wait, I have to round it up, sorry. General things, I would be looking at charging a bit more, because quite often, like you only landed a couple pins on the gadget, and he landed quite a few of you on you. And even if you cannot pin him aggressively, you need to at the very least counter charge to neutralize the effect rather than getting charged yourself. Shield management was sometimes a bit iffy, but you could fix that if you take cover more near the payload or near walls, so you don't have to use your shield as much. One of the things I would keep in mind. As for Earth Shatters, you're relatively good in blocking quite a few of them, so that was kind of decent. They're sometimes a bit telltale in when you're going to Shatter, and it's something that I'll keep saying. A lot of people like sometimes ask me like, hey, do you like 360 Shatter or like flanking Shatter, or do like weird tricks? But I don't commonly rely on like very weird tricks to get Earth Shatters off. What you commonly look for is for a full commitment, and like I said, Fire Strike and Charge are fully committed abilities. If you use those, then you cannot cancel it anyway, and you have to fully commit to them. And in the same way, when you were like flanking a tiny bit on Reinhardt, when they did still see you, you're basically, your team's not getting any shielding, so what are you going to charge? You're going to shout at them, otherwise you just can't get any value. So that's what I'd be looking for in the Earth Shatter Wars, just looking for like full commitment, and trying to make sure that you don't look fully committed to a certain thing yourself, because that's a bit of a telltale to win your Shatter. Besides that, it was all pretty decent. Like your individual running mechanics have always been good. So I'd be looking at charging a bit more, using the backside of the payload for cover and walls as cover, so you can use your shield a bit more efficiently. Besides that, it was pretty decent. You had a few unlucky moments where your team like kind of got snowballed and staggered. And on Orisa, I'd be looking at using my ult more effectively. If you're playing against, like if you're playing Orisa, you're almost never playing it against an enemy Orisa unless it's Junkertown. What I would be looking to do is coordinate more with your Roadhog and just say, do you have hook combo? And then you just pull them over the shield or to the side of the shield and then hook them in. Same goes with things like Hanzo ultis, Diva bombs, Tracer Pulse bombs. Try to coordinate it and try to pull them into like wombo combo ultimates. It's been very effective. Besides that with Orisa, if you're playing against Reinhardt, you have to pull them over and backwards a lot, so they cannot rush past your shield. You have to keep your distance from them. And if you're playing against Winston Diva, I would say to pull the Winston in for some free headshot damage, and maybe even pull him a tiny bit away from your team, just so he falls away out of his effective range. If you're playing against flanker heroes like Tracer Genji, you can largely ignore those, in the sense that you have to ignore them. Because there's like so zippy, they're so small and whatnot, that it's very hard for you to reliably do damage to them without them actually dying. So it's much more reliable to just shoot barriers and shoot tanks. And always, like if a squishy that has no mobility or self-sustain is being caught out, like a McCree or a Zenyatta, and they're alone, like not near shielding, I would always like to pull them over and try to get everyone to shoot it. So it's basically a free kill almost. Any further questions, or not really?
No, I'm all good.
Other people can unmute themselves if they like. I don't know if Gadget, Nyana, or if you have any questions, Pedro.
Yana says she's good too.
All right.
I don't have any questions either at the moment.
All right.
Like at least it also showed me a bit with my shatters, like you said, for where to play and how to play a bit with it.
Yeah.
Because I also like I haven't watched VODs and such about myself, but seeing them already, I saw a pattern that I normally did.
Yeah.
With shattering, so yeah, I'll keep it a bit in mind.
Yeah, I can tell you, just for normal solo queue, you'll be meeting so many people that that don't really play Reinhardt. You can literally get free Earth Shatters whenever they use a Fire Strike. If you if you look at people like Clone Man 16, you might know the player. If he's playing like in Reinhardt v Reinhardt against someone who doesn't main Reinhardt, he just says, "I'm just going to wait until he Fire Strikes," and then Fire Strike comes in, he instantly smashes Q.
I find I can't really react fast enough. I can block a shatter because the animation is, I think it's so much longer than a Fire Strike animation. I can't like.
I think Fire Strike is actually longer.
Really?
But yeah, the thing is, like even after the projectile has like been sent, it takes a while before you can actually put your shield up. Like the hammer swing itself takes very, very long. So timing is actually relatively forgiving, weirdly enough.
Yeah. I'll give it a try next time.
Quickly drag in Ramsey.
Sure. I'm gonna pause the video and then start it again for Ramsey.
Sorry?
I'm gonna just restart the video for Ramsey.
Yeah, yeah.